We got a whole lot of preview for this one, so let's dive straight on in. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is finals week for many of you here at Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I'm Dan Bespris. We have a weekly sit-start guide to go through. We have the weekly preview to go through, and we have the daily streamers board for today and tomorrow to go through. So 4 things on the checklist. Let's jump into the first one right out of the chute, and that is the weekly sit-start board. These are the decisions for those of you that have a Monday lineup lock at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Here are who I would play and the guys that I would not. We're just going to go through the Yahoo rank board up through basically the top 150, and I'll let you know what I'm doing, and if you want to parallel that, great. And if not, also great. Tyrese Halliburton is questionable for tonight. Obviously, he's a mirror play. What do I mean by... Well, nope. Back up. I'm playing him regardless. Unless we get some sort of terrible news. I'll explain what a mirror is in a little bit. I don't know how I doinked that one on the very, very first thing we're talking about on the show. Halliburton, I'm playing. It's a sore back. If he misses a game, I still think he gets in at least 2, probably 3. I mean, maybe he even gets in all 4. Obviously, if he's in, you play him. Steph Curry, same general idea. I'm playing him pretty much regardless because this doesn't sound like a big thing. And if he plays today, even better. Same story for Jamal Murray, who, by the way, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but Jamal Murray has moved his way all the way up the board to a second rounder on the year. Remember how everybody was afraid? I mean, I was a little bit afraid, but he was falling. I'm sad I didn't get him in more places. It seemed like the pre-rank board, he was dropping right at the very end of draft season, but it didn't happen early enough, so we didn't get that sort of late kick. In any event, let's keep going because this is, I think, everybody's least favorite part of today's show. Evan Mobley, I'm playing, again, regardless of what we hear about him over the next little bit. Same story with Derek White. He's in. Anybody that I didn't mention, by the way, that has a tag, they're basically out. We got good news on Anthony Davis, but I certainly wouldn't play him this week. Fox out, Brunson out, Collins out. This is all an easy one. Go back to that first page. I forgot to mention all the out guys. Wemby, obviously out. Jokic, I'm playing. AD might return within the next week or so, but you certainly can't play him until you hear more. Maxey is out. Kyrie is out for the year. LeBron is out a little bit longer. They said about another week probably. Jalen Williams is a kind of a questionable one. The Thunder don't play until Wednesday. They go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and we haven't really had an update on him. And Thunder are a team that's generally pretty nebulous with their reports. So I would likely sit Jalen Williams, and then obviously you're sitting Jalen Johnson as well. Let's move through the 50 to 75 range. Pascal Siakam is out for personal reasons after he was played through an elbow thing. I think this is like the first game he's missed for the Pacers. Something crazy like that. They got a 4-game week, though, so I'm going to throw Pascal in there if I have him. Embiid obviously out. DeJounte Murray obviously out. Christian Brown, I'm going to start him. You can see these guys are on. You can see which team I have here. Miles Turner, I'm playing. Paul George, no. Brandon Miller, obviously, no. Amen Thompson, no. Kobe White, yes. Josh Giddey, no. And now we're into the area where you have to start paralleling a little bit. Jaylen Brown left Boston's last game with back spasms. They do not play today, so we're probably not going to get an update until tomorrow. And then it's Brooklyn. So, yeah, he did try to play against Brooklyn in the last one. So if you're thinking, is there going to be a day off there? They're in Utah on Friday. That's another possible day off. They have a back-to-back Sunday. Monday is a possible day off. I'm probably not playing Jaylen Brown this week. I'd be very nervous. And I know he's a good scorer, and the defensive stats have been pretty good this year, but the percentages are rough, and that's why he's in that 80 range. And I get it if your team is kind of built around what his strengths are. It makes it kind of a hard no, or a hard sit, I should say, to pull off. But you just can't take zeros. I should have practiced what I preach, frankly. The league, I had both of my cash head-to-head teams were in the semifinals last week. One of them won pretty easily. The other one lost by a thread. And if I just practiced what I preach and dropped the guys on my team that were hurt, I probably would have won. Stupid Bespris. Kick myself all offseason for that. Jalen Suggs obviously out. Same with DeAndre Ayton. Same with Brandon Ingram. These ones are fairly straightforward. Ja Morant, we think, sat out a back-to-back. I don't think there's been an update on him today. I know it says he's listed as out, but I'm fairly certain that was... Oh, no, he's back out again. All right, so this is a hamstring now instead of a shoulder thing. That news broke while I was doing something else. All right, that's intriguing. Because the Saturday one, it sounded like they were just resting him with, they just called it shoulder. He's been dealing with that all year. Now it's a hamstring thing for Ja. So a 2-game week, you kind of have to sit him. So John Morant is a no. Bradley Beal is probably a no for me, but Phoenix does play tonight, and we haven't got an update on him. But it's only a 3-game week, and he hasn't been very good. So I'd be leaning pretty hard towards no, unless we heard that Beal is quote-unquote good to go. Unless it's like, if he's a game-time call and you got to wait up until 7 o'clock, I would say no, because you're probably going to have a lineup block before that. Gafford, no. Kelly Oubre already ruled out. He's a no. Let's keep going outside the top 100 now. These guys are all no's. Herb Jones, Santi Aldama, Cam Thomas, Derek Lively, they're all no's. Zion, they're playing tonight. So that's our first official mirror play of the day because it's a 4-game week for the Pelicans. If Zion's out for the game against Detroit and you're down to a 3-game week where the chance, possibility that he misses another one, there's a back-to-back in there that he might rest at the very end of the week, you might end up with a 2-gamer. So if Zion does not play tonight, I sit him. If he plays, I play him. That's what we call a mirror Monday. Emmanuel Quickly and the whole Raptors. I mean, the Raptors team as a whole is going to be a huge pain in the butt. They have a 3-game week with 4 days off wedged in the middle around 1 game. Like most of the Raptors, I don't think I can play this week because because they're playing guys basically every other day, and you can kind of look and see who was in and who was out. Toronto played yesterday afternoon in Portland, my afternoon. Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl were in. RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly were out. So there's a chance that Poeltl and Barnes might only play 1 game this week. Quickly, it seems like probably gets 2. So probably go mirror Monday on the whole Raptors. The guys that are out today will probably be out on Sunday as well. Although I guess there's a chance they play more because they have so much time off. But woof, can't do a 1-game week, can you? I wouldn't. What else we got? Robert Williams, obviously, he's out. Andrew Wiggins is questionable for Miami's game, and the Heat do play tonight. It's a 4-game week, so there you go. Mirror Monday on Andrew Wiggins also. If he plays, start him. If he doesn't, don't. Rui Hachimura is out. They've got him day-to-day. They hope he's back basically within a week, but you're certainly not playing him there. Lou Dort is barely good enough to play anyway, so pass. Jeremy Grant's a no. Grant Williams is obviously a no. Chris Dunn, I actually didn't even notice he was a game-time call. What's the deal there? Oh, yeah, he missed the last one. Shows what I'm too lost in a fog yesterday. That's that. In the words of the great Randy Jackson, Chris Dunn's going to be a no for me, dog. They're off today. It's only a 3-game week for the Clippers anyway, so he's sort of run out of juice for his stream. Al Horford is more of a games cap guy, so don't worry about him there. Ayo Dosunmu out. Grayson Allen out because I don't care enough to care. D'Angelo Russell probably plays in all 3 games this week, but he hasn't been good enough this year to matter because Brooklyn's holding him to about 24, 25 minutes a game. That's annoying. Looked like he was going to cut loose with the Nets, and then they were like, nah, every other day off, and you get to play like 60-ish, 65% of your minutes, even when you're in the ball game. Pain in the rectum. Children. So D'Lo is probably more of a assists streamer. Aaron Nesmith, he's a game-time call. You can go mirror Monday on him. It's a 4-game week on Nesmith. Aaron Gordon is... Yeah, I mean, go mirror Monday on Gordon also. And that's probably about as far as we need to go, right? Right. Hey, friends, March Madness is 1 day away. Why not give our friends over at BetOnline a look? They're the world's most trusted betting platform and your #1 source for betting on all the madness. Again, that's BetOnline. It is a reputable online sports betting website. They've been our partner since the moment we got this bad boy going here at Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. And whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-timer, BetOnline is the ultimate game day companion. They've got the largest selection of odds on everything, including March Madness, plus a $200,000 bracket contest that you got to get in on right now, or you're going to miss your chance to compete for $200,000, your share of it. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Let's talk schedule analysis now, and that's the sort of zoomed out version. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Hope you guys can see this on YouTube. That's about as far as I feel like I need to go. I guess we can go a little bit farther. It's just hard for me to get a lot of teams in the window here. We'll go full screen mode. That's as good as it's going to get. I've color-coded all the teams on the left. So again, I would suggest all of you that are watching this show, click into the the Google sheet that's in the show description. It's free, easy to find. You just go to the streaming calendar tab. We had a Clippers rescheduling that wasn't in there on the show last week. That's in there now, so that's been fixed. And the color codes, as you can see on the left side, Atlanta is sort of a deep brown for a team that has not the greatest schedule to start the week, but also there's some other stuff going on in the middle. Boston is kind of like a lighter version of that, which is like there's a troublesome spot, but you might argue that it's a couple days in if you really wanted to, or it's kind of like a choice. Dallas, this is a red team. That's a 2-game week. Red is a 2-game week. Dallas and Orlando are both 2-game weeks. The Clippers are brown because their week gets off to kind of a weird start as well. Although, again, you could hold until Wednesday if you really wanted to. Memphis and Minnesota are kind of like an orange color because their bad schedule is coming at the end of the week, where Memphis has 3 days off, Saturday through next Monday. Minnesota, starting on Saturday, has 1 game over 6 days. Gugh. Oof. OKC gets off to a slow start. They're off today and tomorrow, so that's the spot to abandon ship on the Thunder. I already mentioned Orlando as a red team. And then Toronto, I didn't even know how to color code this one because it's such a weird schedule. It's a 3-game week, and yet somehow they have a pair of off days in the middle of the week. They play today, they play Sunday, and they play Thursday in between with a pair of 2 days off between each ball game. So Toronto, your bad part of the schedule is Tuesday, and they're basically they're practically the only team that has a bad schedule on Tuesday. In terms of what do you do with these clubs? Well, a lot of it is a look ahead. Like Atlanta, you don't have to use a move today if you don't want to. The problem is that this is kind of a hard week to stream because there aren't that many great, like there are very few good scheduling pockets this week that dramatically increase your number of games played unless you have a bunch of open slots. Like Wednesday is a near overload day. Today and Friday are like a near, where it's a little farther away. It's an almost near overload day with 10 games. You probably have a slot open, I would think, but I guess I don't really know if you've sort of planned accordingly to have a heavy schedule today. But the best schedules today, and I'll get into some of that on the daily streaming chart. I just kind of wanted to point out the really bad schedules and where you want to look as you kind of work your way through. So Chicago and Golden State among some of the teams today. I guess I should have color coded these, but they're already in this sort of off green. Indiana, the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Kings are all kind of interesting places to start today. Tuesday, you've got another lot. Actually, quite a few teams that have bad schedules, but only 2 teams that have good ones. Charlotte and Cleveland is kind of who you'd pivot to on Tuesday. Then you get into the later part of the week where the schedules are, I don't want to say a little more predictable, but I guess a little bit. Like Chicago's got the back-to-back on Wednesday, Thursday. Indiana has a back-to-back. The Lakers have a back-to-back Wednesday, Thursday. New York, Sacramento. These are some teams we talked about that have an okay schedule to start the week, but it really kind of kicks in a little bit better on Wednesday. Thursday, that's where Charlotte's back-to-back comes in. Remember, we talked about that one as a possible Tuesday grab. But they're the only one. Friday, Saturday, I mean, it's more messy stuff. Like, there just aren't that many back-to-backs this week. Sacramento, we talked about as like the Wednesday start because they've got 5 and 7. Friday, Washington starts at 5 and 7. There's one team really that you're getting into a back-to-back with a good schedule. There's some sort of other choices there. But for that reason, you can kind of like mosey your way through the week. It's not a super easy week to stream 3 slots anymore because there aren't many clubs that you can just grab and sit on. Like there isn't a Brooklyn, there isn't a team that has a 5 and 7 that starts early in the week. The starts on those 5 and 7s are Sacramento on Wednesday, Washington on Friday, and that's it. Otherwise, you're hunting for 3 out of 4, basically, and it's nice to get the back-to-back at the front end of that. So in my opinion, this is, of the playoff weeks, this is the toughest one to stream. And it's probably because there aren't as many games by and large this week, but it's also because of just how they're distributed. You have 3 days that are relatively low traffic, which like last week you only had 2 days that were kind of light. This week you have 3 light days. And a lot of that is March Madness related. They start to, schedule around the mayhem a tiny bit. There isn't a ton on Tuesday. There isn't a ton on Thursday. Like some of these days where you're getting the March Madness play-ins and then the first day where there's 9,000 games going. The NBA is kind of stepping back a little bit. So overall on the entire week, you have a 10, a 4, and 11, so 25 games the first 3 days of the week. Compare that to last week where you also, by the way, had 25 games, and it doesn't seem all that crazy. But then the rest of the week, this week, you have 28. Last week, you had like well over 30, 31, I think. So you just there were more opportunities last week. Now, again, it's not that there are like strikingly few games. The gap between 28 and 31 is not all that much. The difference is that last week, Saturday was a medium sized card. This week, Saturday is a light card. And like you could look at week 20 and you can look at week 23, 8, 8, 6, 8, 7, 7, 8. That's also a pretty low number. 8, 8, 6, 22, 30, 44, 52. I guess that's bigger. The key is just not having those quiet days. The flip side of that is if you can figure out a way to get games going on the quiet days and stay full on the slightly heavier days, then you've really done something. The problem there is like today is not a full day. 10 games out of 15 possible, if you figure 2/3 roughly on average of the players on your team are going, and you have a 13 player roster, you're only going to have about 9 guys going on average. Some of you may have 10, and then you're full. Great. But most of you have 9. Many have 10 and 8 because, bell curve and all that stuff. And then you're going to have somebody ruled out at the last minute also. So even if you had 10, you probably really only have 9 or 8 anyway. So it's very hard, I think, this week to overload or to fill up the heavy days and also get a bunch of extra games on the light days. Because of that, my advice this week is hunt for players you like with a 4-game week. Simplify your streaming this week. You might not gain as many games played because of it, but there just aren't that many ways to take a guy with a bad schedule and turn that guy into a great schedule unless you're looking for, for Atlanta's an interesting example because they have a game Tuesday, but then they're off for 3 days. You'd be like, yeah, Dan, I can make a move off of Atlanta today to Chicago and I can get a 2-game bounce by Thursday. Yeah, but you give one of those back the second half of the week because Atlanta does still have a 3-game week. Dallas and Orlando are the very obvious ones. Just take your 2 gamers on Dallas and Orlando and switch them for a 4-gamer that you like almost as much. And that's kind of your winning early week ticket. Beyond that, we're into the part of the year now where you need to be really cautious and use your moves on guys that get out. It kills me. I'm going to talk about it for years now. It kills me that I had 5 guys that basically got ruled out for the week last week in one league. I didn't have enough moves to even unload all of them. And I definitely didn't have enough moves to unload all of them because I used a move early in the week on a guy that wasn't out for the week. One. That was it. I used one move last week on a guy that wasn't getting ruled out due to injury. And I badly wish I could go back and recant that move. It was to drop Zach Collins. I'll remember this forever. Who wasn't great, but he wasn't to 0. And if I had just saved that one move, it wasn't that I wanted Zach Collins all that much, and it wasn't that the guy that I picked up didn't turn out to be decent. It was that if I could just go back and wait like a day and a half until one of my other guys got ruled out for the damn week or most of the week and picked up a living being, I'd probably win that week. But how the hell could I know that 5 guys were going to get kicked out? It's so many. The other league I'm in, I only lost 1. For the week, I mean. I'm not even counting the ones that are just like 1 game off in the middle of the week. I'm not counting Walker Kessler. We know what we're getting into there. I'm not counting Quentin Grimes being sick. I'm talking about like Donovan Mitchell missed most of the week. Kelly Olynyk missed most of the week. Cam Thomas started the week and then was done. Keontae George didn't play at all during the week. Anyway, it goes on and on and on. Jeremy Grant, Noah Clowney, the whole thing. The other league, I lost Jalen Williams for the week. That was basically it. So mad about the whole thing. Anyway, let's pivot over to a different thing now. And this is the streaming board. There we go. Change the way you guys see it here on YouTube. Guys, again, this is the playoff streaming guide, and this is the show that we do every day. I missed yesterday. I'm sorry about that. But hey, in the meantime, please subscribe. Please, pretty please. I'm asking so nicely. Like and subscribe, please. Just take a second to hit that button. Uh, that's super important. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, 5-star review does go a long way. I know Spotify is actually a pretty easy one to drop in there. I am also, by the way, Dan Vespris on Twitter and Old Man Squad. Point at the right thing on Blue Sky. I don't care if you guys follow me on Instagram. I really don't care about that one. All right, let's talk today. Teams to avoid on Monday. We already talked about Orlando and Dallas. Those were, I mean, honestly, I talked about all of these when we were giving the weekly preview. So Atlanta starts with a 1-5. Boston and the Clippers and the Thunder start with a, wait, no, OKC, that's wrong. That got copied over from something else and it's incorrect. No, that's sorry. Sorry, that's right. No. Brain's not screwed on right today. And then obviously, Dallas and Orlando are the 2-game week. So we've already talked about that. Teams to target today, we mentioned these as well. Golden State is the best one. They've got a back-to-back to start the week, then 3 out of 4 and 4 out of 6. Sacramento is your second best option. That's if your league extends beyond finals week because they have a 3 and 4, a 4 out of 6, and a back-to-back at the end of all of that. That gives them actually 6 out of 9 days of basketball. And then Chicago, Indiana, the Lakers, and the Knicks all go 3 out of 4 days and 4 out of 6. So plenty of options if you wanted to switch onto them today, if you're abandoning ship on the Dallas Mavericks or the Orlando Magic. The other teams you don't have to, as I just mentioned, like Atlanta, if you want to wait until Wednesday, Boston, Clippers, OKC, if you want to wait until Wednesday, did I say it? Or OKC, I guess it would be. You know what? OKC you should get off of because they're off today and tomorrow. The other ones that go 1 out of 4, their games, or 1 out of 5 even for Atlanta, their game is Tuesday, which is the light day. So just probably hold those guys through Wednesday, and then Atlanta's got 3 days off, so that's a time to get out of that. Austin's got 1 game out of 4 days after that, and so on and so forth. So I think that's probably the way I go with those. Same thing with the Clippers. Players to target for Monday. And here they are. Chicago, I think you could go Zach Collins if you wanted percentages and some rebounds. Kevin Huerter is probably the best streamable and also readily available option on the Bulls for threes, points, and steals. Golden State, this is in alphabetical order now. Moses Moody is a very, very good stream right now for free throw percent, threes, and steals. Jonathan Kuminga, who I don't know if he's going to play in the back-to-back, still don't know. You'd have to roll the dice a little bit there. So I would mostly say don't do it. But if you're the sauciest of the saucy, he'd be a point stream. And then Buddy Hield is your threes streamer there, but also, again, you kind of have to have a little bit more. Oh, your stone's got to be a little bigger than mine, I think. Indiana's got some good options. Aaron Nesmith, who's been picked up in a lot of spots, but he's a great head-to-head play right now for percentages, threes, points, and even a steal. Bennedict Mathurin, great free throw percent streamer, solid points streamer. TJ McConnell, decent assist streamer. He'll get you a steal. He'll do it on decent field goal percent because that's the magic of TJ McConnell. The Lakers, Jaxson Hayes is back. Thank goodness, because he was the guy we wanted to stream for the Lakers, and he was out for a while. But he's back, and he's a great source of field goal percent, boards, and blocks. Dalton Connect is the only other Laker I would look at, and that is a hard threes stream, and you better not expect anything else. The Knicks, classic Tom Thibodeau. There's nobody to stream on the Knicks. Everybody that's streaming is a full every roster kind of play. And then for Sacramento, your only streamer there would be Keon Ellis. Now that they're healthy again, Ellis is playing about 20 minutes off the bench. He is your steals and out of position blocks streamer for a guard. Tuesday, there's only one team to avoid, and it's the Toronto Raptors, which is kind of amazing, too, when you think of the fact that starting on Tuesday, yeah, I mean, much like today, you still have those 2 light days. Tuesday and Thursday are blended in there. But somehow almost everybody in the NBA has either a game on Tuesday before their schedule gets super wonky or 2 games over those 4 days. The only team that has 1 game that isn't just on Tuesday is Toronto. They went Monday, as we've talked about, and then they have 1 game over 5 days after that. Luckily, because there aren't that many teams to drop. You don't need that many teams to choose from. So that's kind of the lucky part here. There's only 2 teams that have a good schedule starting on Tuesday. That's Charlotte and Cleveland. Charlotte has a game on Tuesday. They have their back-to-back Thursday, Friday, as we talked about earlier. Cleveland is the better of the options because they go back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday. They're the only team that does that in the NBA. And then they play Friday and Sunday as well. They also go Tuesday with a Thursday, Friday back-to-back next week, should your league go that far. That's 7 games in 11 days. But again, that's a very, very long stream. And I don't even know if your leagues go that far. But again, you could pick up a Cavalier and hold him for 11 days if you really wanted to. And you'd get a relatively decent schedule out of it. And that's what happens when a team has back-to-back 4-game weeks, with the very first day of those 4 games being an off day. You typically end up with something like this. So those are the 2 teams. And like, if you were reading this backwards, you go, damn, there's only 2 teams to pick from on the target side. Well, again, luckily, there's only 1 team you need to abandon ship on, and that's Toronto. But there are some streamers on Toronto that you might have right now, like an AJ Lawson or a Colin Castleton or an Orlando Robinson, because they're a popular team for pickups with all of their stars sitting out every other day. This is the day that you want to be done with all of it. And I mean, I guess the other good news is that Cleveland does have some options. And here they are. Cleveland's options are Ty Jerome, Max Strus, and DeAndre Hunter. Those are the 3 guys I would trust on the Cavs as streamers. Ty Jerome, probably a bit over-rostered. He did a lot of his damage this year when either Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland was out, and Donovan Mitchell missed a few games last week. Although Ty Jerome wasn't that great in them, he actually missed one of them too. I have no idea if the Cavs are going to rest their guards. It'd be great if they did, because then you'd get a Ty Jerome big game blended in with some kind of quiet ones. Max Strus is probably your safest schedule streamer on the Cavs because he's going to hit a couple of threes. He's going to get 4 or 5 boards. He's going to get 3 to 5 assists. It's just a very reliable 3-category streamer who's pretty decent at free throw percent, not great at field goal, not great at defensive stats, low turnovers. He's a nice little 9-cat guy to just plop in there for the back-to-back or for 3 out of 4 or whatever. If you're targeting, I'd say 2 of his 3 positives. So, like, I got a team I'm looking at where maybe I could use his boards and assists together. I don't need 3s, but maybe that's where we need. And then DeAndre Hunter is the other one for the Cavs. That's mostly if you're hunting points and free throw percent, although his rebounding has been okay lately. Perhaps because Clint Capella's been out, and so when Onyeka Okongwu's not on the floor, there's a relative lack of size for the Cavaliers. Charlotte's options are terrible because everybody's rostered LaMelo Ball and Mark Williams and Miles Bridges. And when you get beyond those 3 dudes, the Hornets' fantasy options are just awful. So, man, you got to really dig deep here. If you must do it, your only 2 guys that I would even really I guess Nick Smith Jr. could put on there as well. Ugh. On the back-to-back, you could look at, like a Nurkic or a Diabate, but the back-to-back isn't on Tuesday. It's after that. It's after the day off. It's Thursday, Friday. That's when you might look at a big man for Charlotte. Right now, if you want to get that first game on Tuesday and you want it to be a decent one, well, I have bad news for you. None of them is going to be decent. Josh Green might get you a steal and a half. That's what you're hunting for if you pick him up on Tuesday. Daquan Jeffries might get you a block if you pick him up on Tuesday. Strongly recommend you steer towards the Cavaliers with your Tuesday move. And that is all 4 of our things. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for both of our podcasts today on our Double Monday. Tomorrow, we'll recap Monday and get you a Tuesday streamer board. And that's, again, what we're going to try to do the rest of the way. I wanted to try to go 35 straight days with a streamer show. I missed 1 after doing the first 13 straight. Start another streak today. I'm Dan Baspers at Dan Baspers on Twitter. Please hit that subscribe button on your way out. Thank you, as always, to Bet Online. Thank you to all of you guys who have watched this show or listened to this show all season long in our first year here at the Old Man Squad. Also, just going to remind you guys, every show from now until the end of the year, if I can remember it, we do shows all off-season long, Monday through Friday, 1 show per day. That's 5 per week. Going to try to do them all on YouTube as well this time around. I think that'll be the first time that we do that. So hang with us all off season long. And big things coming here at Old Man Squad. Infusion of new fun bodies that I cannot wait to reveal, but I can't do it just yet. So you're just gonna have to wait on that one. Again, I'm Dan for Old Man Squad. Next show is tomorrow. I'll see you then.